call Morris County Fiscal Court to order June 2nd, 2017. We don't have anybody for guests or correspondence under old business. Approve the minutes for May 16th and budget workshops on May 30th and 31st.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Jeff, you want to do the second reading on the ordinance?
Yes, this will be speed limit ordinance. Commonwealth, Kentucky, County of Marshall, speed limit ordinance number 2017-04, be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County, Commonwealth, Kentucky, in accordance with provisions set forth in KRS 189.3905A, and based upon the request of affected citizens and after review by the Marshall County Road Superintendent, the Marshall County Fiscal Court does hereby set the speed limit at 25 miles per hour for Steeplechase Lane and Churchill Lane located in Marshall County, Kentucky. This will be the second reading on June the 5th, 2017.
Motion to approve the ordinance.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I will make this comment on that before we start doing any kind of enforcement. We're going to give them at least a month's time to get used to the new speed zone before we do that. So if you start getting complaints that it's been changed and nothing's being done, we got to give them a little time to get used to it before we start doing some enforcement.
We also have an issue on Churchill as far as where to put the speed limit signs, because all down through there on the shoulder of the road, people use that as parking area. So wherever we post it, it's gonna be in someone's dense graded parking area.
How much right-of-way do we have?
I think it's 40 foot.
Technically, you can put it anywhere else.
Right. But I just want y'all to be aware of that too, because
You trying to keep
it's
everybody
gonna be in
happy?
someone's area that they're not gonna like. But
Somebody's going to run into it.
yeah.
Under new business, the bid advertisement for bridge decking on Coldwater Lane. You got,
Yeah, I'm just wanting to advertise for the decking. It's steel grading to go over where we had the metal on there. It's all rusted out. They've lowered the weight limit to 9 tons the state has on that road. So we're wanting to go back to try the steel grading deck. It's a 30 by 24 is what we'd be advertising for. The beams and everything underneath are all good shape, so that would be our lowest cost-wise way to go.
Those ones we looked at Livingston County, wasn't it Livingston County?
Yeah.
That'd be very similar. That is what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's what it
there.
is. Mm-hmm.
Those seem to, they're satisfied with them over there, and they got several of them, and they look nice and hold
think
up
it-
according to them.
Be an easy fix for that
Right.
bridge.
Move you go out for bids for that.
Second.
all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. South Marshall Fire Department Board appointment. I'll read the letter. Judge Neal, during our May 9th, 2017 board meeting, it was determined that the board would like to recommend Mona Freeman, residing at 156 Aurora Highway, Hardin, Kentucky, to another term on the board. That's from Marcel Searles. My recommendation would be Mona Freeman for the Fire Department Board.
Move to appoint agree to appoint Mona Freeman.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Your next, should have in your packet the 2017-2018 earthquake renewal quote. Emily, you want to discuss that?
This is the earthquake policy that we have through CAECO. It's a $20 million limit with a $25,000 deductible. We usually carry this plan, but we wanted the fiscal court to make a decision on that.
Is it the same?
The premium is $53,312, and all of the information is the same. The property value is a little bit different, as it will fluctuate, and the premium fluctuates a little bit different, but it's within $1,000 of what it was.
The premium is? Okay.
I think it's
I
a few
assumed
hundred
upward
less.
instead of lower.
No, I think it is a few
Really?
hundred less.
Okay,
But it's just a few hundred
I
and a
assume wrong.
change, so don't hold me to that.
Those are changing. Talking about doing away or almost doing
Yeah, they
away
have
with it.
talked about not keeping this anymore, but they haven't done it yet, so.
We need to just approve,
I mean, yeah,
I believe we need to keep it on.
Second.
I know it's expensive, but if we have an event, we sure don't have $20
It's
million
not
to replace
expensive.
things.
It's not expensive if it happens.
If you need it, yeah. It's 20 million.
Motion to renew.
Second.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We put on here the Whack Pack lease. The date to renew is June 11th. June 11th. Both parties agree. The issue is the decision needs to be made going into the next budget year. It's going to affect some or part of that lease agreement.
I'd move we remain in the lease agreement, however, that's taken care of through our budget process, and it includes the utilities.
If you look at the lease a little bit further, it also talks about repair and maintenance that the leasers will be responsible for the repair and maintenance.
It is, I agree, I agree, we need to remain in the lease, that's our property. They're having hosting events and coordinating events, but I don't think they need to be maintaining the property.
But it does state we maintain it, or they maintain it, Judge?
Says us, the way I understood it.
That would just be as needed.
The leaseor is us.
Just a continuation of what we are always done.
And if you look at there's a dollar that will be attached. I don't think a decision's been made on one of the, combining those applications. The tearing down and erecting new facilities, the repair and maintenance of those would be additional dollars I think we would have to calculate in if a decision is to be made.
I don't know where we're gonna get to on that portion, but, whatever general maintenance needs to be done. I think
Or would
that's
it
a
be
little bit of-
something, if we're gonna draft as we discussed with any county-owned property, if we're gonna draft an agreement, would a new draft agreement resolve this lease in its entirety? That might be something else.
Redraft it, both parties sign it, it would change it.
We had discussed on our support of them. They had requested the issue about the building, being raised and all. I didn't know if that was gonna be included or not. I felt like the utilities would be, but whatever maintenance we deem necessary. The only portion they're asking for that, and we could I guess, determine whether we support that or not. But actually demolishing the building, being their own county property, I'm wondering if it's not, whether they're talking a safety hazard, and we need to get it removed just as a safety issue on ourselves, and then whether we build a pavilion or not, that'll be up to whether we want to,
Yeah, that wouldn't,
Why don't-
that wouldn't all be general maintenance.
Why don't
As
we,
I see it.
why don't we do this? Since we discussed having a consistent agreement for county-owned properties, we actually look at that agreement, and then that way we have a consistent agreement instead of having like what we have, a lease here and a lease there, and then no leases or no agreement. We kind of apply that agreement to all the county property.
well, yeah, whatever you want to do it, I mean, it doesn't, we just needed to do something about the 11th.
So based off of this lease,
You're not, for that reason, you're not going to renew that lease.
correct,
You're gonna modify it based on their new request.
correct.
That'd be,
Well, approval of their new request.
Well,
Yes.
the.
Right, yeah, I mean, their new request
Right.
has caused you to go back to the drawing board on that lease.
Right.
And you do that before June the 12th, that keeps it from renewing automatically.
Right. This gives a renewal automatically by June 11th. So
Or June 11th.
today,
So
today, if we make a
You vote
decision,
that today, that'll hold that till we can get a new lease drafted.
correct.
so I would amend my motion then to go into develop a new lease agreement under
County
their,
property.
And if it
including,
takes us-
including whatever part of their request we're willing to
They can,
make.
if we do nothing and they hold over, basically they'll be under the same terms as they are now, except it'll be a month-to-month lease,
Right.
Right.
which I think will work fine that way. Whenever we won't have to wait 2 years to do it again.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
So the county is gonna, with county properties, develop a agreement with any entity that utilizes county property. And that agreement will supersede this lease. So we need to take action today. Bob, your motion
My motion
is for the county's agreement, once approved, will
is supersede that
this
lease.
lease.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And I'll
Of course,
make
that
sure
building
Bonnie,
demolition, that's a backhoe and a dump truck, so that's no big deal on that.
I'll get with Bonnie and make sure she knows that,
Yeah, we need to, we do need to look, they've told them that, I said, we've told them that they can't use that little old sorghum house and that we don't need anything in it because of its structure. So, again, we'll just have to see, but we probably need to look at getting that, at least getting that removed sometime, just as a safety issue.
Yeah, that's not general maintenance, that is a safety issue.
Ms. Kim Cannon said she would show you all how to do it if you need her.
Yes.
It wouldn't take 3 men or 1 woman.
Yeah.
She had a Bobcat that she could start on it, a skid steer, she could start on it if you wanted to.
She could do it too.
under new business, the ordinance 2017-05 administrative code, you should have the attached in your packet, you should have I think there's 5 of them, the changes that were being proposed for the administrative code.
Want me to do that first reading?
First reading.
Okay, this will make the, first reading of ordinance 2017-05. And what I will do, I will refer you to the page number that you have and the changes for each of those. Otherwise, the ordinance is the same as you've already adopted. On page 22, under exempt employee, that shall read, those who are not granted the protections of the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, and are not entitled to overtime pay or pay for compensatory time earned. Compensatory time shall have no cap, but will have no monetary value upon employment separation. That's how that will read for exempt employees.
And that's just following the law.
Yes. Down under section 5.2, under paragraph A, there's one minor change, and that's the very last word, the very last couple words. The following individuals are expressly exempted from coverage under this document, except for otherwise provided herein. And then there's 5 of those, and then under this amendment, there would be a number 6, and that number 6 would say employees who have specific exceptions set out in the terms of their employment.
Hey, Jeff, what's an example of that? Who was before we,
Well, I don't think there's any one, like, if you're hiring somebody and they've got a lot of experience in the area, then you can bring them in at whatever rate that you can agree to, plus you can, say, their vacation, you can bump them up on their time on vacation in order to meet where they were coming from.
okay, can we identify before we do that? We've added that, and that is not by law that you add that, is it? I mean, it just cleans up.
No, it just
Stuff's
makes
been
it-
done. Can
right.
we identify those employees or that it's talking about? And I'm not really sure.
I don't think it's talking about any
It'd be
specific
future,
employees.
I guess,
Yeah.
it'd be
All right,
future
we
hires.
have none of those deals cut right now.
For what's under number 6?
Yes. Just want to know what I'm voting to approve and if there are any employees that you know, I have no knowledge of the employees that,
Yeah, well, I think 2 would be your janitorial services here. I think they operate under an exception that was part of the agreement when they were hired. And I don't know exactly what that exception.
okay, I
type
wasn't
of-
thinking along those lines. I
that
don't have
type
any
of
problem
thing.
with that part, but.
Yeah, that's kind
I
of
just-
that's the,
I just didn't know. I was thinking not on that necessarily that level, but, the example you gave, somebody comes in here with a lot of experience and you know, I know that
Well,
happens
I'll
from
just
time
say
to time,
this.
but there are no examples of that right now.
you know, there's some of our departments that we suffer from because we train people at a
And they leave.
level that for what we expect, and then somebody else jumps in and offers them same
Right.
thing or more somewhere
I-
else.
yeah, I understand the
And I
need for
just-
that.
If we can take advantage of that and steal some of those people back, I
Right,
think we should.
right, and I agree 100%, and I realize the need for that, but my question was, do we have any employees that we have done that to, or,
I have one that I brought in with additional experience.
I'm aware of that,
Oh, okay.
and I have no problem with that.
Okay.
At all, because I understand the need for that, but we're gonna be voting, and I just want to make sure that I know what I'm voting on, and, okay? But no specific besides that, okay?
Well, like if I've got situations where I've hired professional, like my assistants, and they are working on a part-time
Oh, I'm
scale,
not
but in
talking about
order to
that.
do those,
Yeah.
they would get some benefits.
Right, yeah, and I'm not talking about that, and you're a constitutional elected officer, so that's your
Yeah,
privilege and priority to do that,
but otherwise, no, that's all I'm aware of.
okay?
Is there a scenario that you don't want to approve?
No, I was just asking to see what I was approving. If we were approving that, there's wasn't any examples, and I understand the need for to hire experienced employees and be able to retain them, because that happens all the time, and especially the law enforcement is the biggest example. We
They
get them
don't-
and
they
send them
don't
to the
fall under-
academy, and
His department doesn't fall.
well, I'm
under
not talking about
administrative.
that. That's just an example of what can happen in another department. I understand the need for that.
All right, on page 29, under C, unused sick leave will carry over from year to year without a maximum limit. Because paid sick time is now to be used for medical reasons, that should be a comma instead of a colon. Comma instead of a semicolon. No compensation will be received for unused sick time upon termination, resignation, retirement, or change in status from full-time to part-time, period. And then, yes, a comma after retirement. Yeah, and then we'll, yeah, it's full, between full-time and part-time, take out the dashes. Okay. All right, on page 30, under G. An employee may donate sick time to be used by a co-employee for sick time if all vacation and sick time has been used by the co-employee. For an employee to donate vacation time for a co-employee to use as sick time, a written request must be submitted to the Human Resources Director, approved and delivered by the department head or the appointing authority, period. And that just changes that language where it's,
We wanted delivery by that department head so that we knew that the department head was aware of the
yeah.
transaction.
And these all were come, I think, as suggestions in the reviews with department heads. All right, under page 34, section 5.32A, there's one minor change. County pays non-exempt and exempt employees earning less than $913 per week, or $47,476 per year, time and a half for all hours earned over 40 hours in a work week. Earned pay leave time shall not be considered earned hours in relation to overtime, but that should be corrected, but a holiday does count towards overtime. All overtime shall be approved by the department head or appointing authority. Yeah. Okay.
That's just also getting consistent with the law, as it should be.
Then down on section 5.33B, there where it says drug-free, that should be drug-free. To complete drug-free workplace policy. And, okay, on page 46, under section 5.51, the new proposed section 3, when under travel, the county offers a corporate rental program through Enterprise, and the county and county-owned vehicles for travel. These methods are preferred. Department heads and/or appointing authority may offer to pay mileage at the federal government rate to use a personal vehicle if it is deemed more cost-effective. The department head and/or the appointing authority may also reimburse the employee an amount equal to a vehicle rental if the employee still chooses travel in his or her personal vehicle. And on down on page 50, under section 6.4, small purchasing procedures, A, that amount would be $1,000 instead of $100, and the same thing for B, $1,000 instead of $100. Those are all the changes.
Any questions? Under new business, ordinance 2017-06, budget amendment, first reading. Do we need to make them?
Okay, yeah, that was the first reading. I'm sorry.
We'll save our discussion for second reading.
Discuss now? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I was on the travel. My question is, and last night's the first time I saw this, but the department head or appointing authority may also reimburse employee amount equal to a vehicle rental. Who is the department head and appointing authority? Just depends on the employee. Okay. how is that going to be calculated? Because if we applied that, or tell me if I'm wrong, that's just my thinking, if any of these people sitting around this table, and obviously they've got their own vehicles, but if they didn't, if we were all county employees, but if we did it that way, it seems to me that an amount equal to the vehicle rental. In each situation, we would, if we traveled to Murray to pick up a rental car, Kevin would be different than Kurt, would be different from me, that'd be different for Johnny. Who's going to make that determination? And looks like it's going to be a lot of paperwork because each one of us would be, it's a different scenario, it's.
My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if that option is taken, you would submit your mileage that you would have traveled to get the vehicle.
Get the rental car.
Get the rental car?
Okay.
And the rental value, whatever the cost would have been to the county, is what you can receive and take your own.
Driving your own private vehicle.
It just seems like to me by the time you do that, if you use the example, me in particular, if I had a meeting in Madisonville, Kentucky, and I wasn't driving my own car, say I wanted to drive my own car, and got reimbursed under that method, I'm going to drive my vehicle to Murray, or get my wife to drive me over there to pick up my rental car, and then she drives back, and I drive back and to Murray, or back from Murray, and then go to Madisonville for a meeting for 3 hours, then come back, and then I got to call my wife again to say, hey, meet me in Murray, I'm going to take my rental car back. The compensation that I would get in that instance would be probably time and a half what the 54.5%. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, well,
Wouldn't
in
that be
that
accurate?
situation, you would.
So I would get more than.
I know, in that situation, the provision above that, where they may offer to pay mileage at the federal government rate to use personal vehicle if it's deemed more cost-effective.
Right, and I agree with that. I think that's the simplest and cleanest and fairest, and I don't think it makes 15 cents a difference. And with that scenario in mind and others, I don't think it makes 15 cents difference in having somebody to have to compute that, the salaries that we pay people to make those determinations on every single different case is different. Because they're coming from.
They're already doing it.
They're what?
They're already doing it. It's not that hard.
Well,
Anybody that travels, they're already calculating travel.
Well, they're not doing it in their own personal vehicles, or that was told to me very often. I was told a couple of 3 or 4 meetings ago that it very seldom happened.
That people travel in their own vehicle?
That's true.
Wasn't that said? in
Yes,
the
it's
open
true,
court?
because it's been
Okay.
deemed more cost-effective to do the rental.
Right.
However, in the situation you gave, if it was a one-day trip to Madisonville and back, that wouldn't be more cost-effective. So doing the
No, it
federal
would
rate
not be.
would be a better solution.
But each time.
for that situation.
Each time the employee feels the need to take their own vehicle, other than the rental vehicle or the other option, what I'm saying, somebody has got to figure, it doesn't happen very often, so somebody's gonna have to make that determination, and every one of us around this table, that's a different set of circumstances, because we live in different locations, and somebody that's on county time is gonna stop what they're doing, and each one of those, what my thought is, that it's the government rate that was paid is a federal government rate established. We don't establish that, that's established for us, and many entities use that, and I think that's fair, and I think it just saves a lot of headaches and paperwork and for different scenarios. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
It's not that hard.
I mean, like I say, this is my opinion. I would like to see the federal rate installed in there.
Me too.
Whichever is cost effective to the county is
That's
If
what I'm
the-
saying. I think my research shows that doesn't make 15 cents worth difference either way. In some cases, even more.
Gonna be a lot easier to manage just leaving it at the federal government rate than it will be trying to compute the time to,
That's
I
obvious.
know, I know when we
There's-
travel, when my office travels, we get the rental vehicle, and we usually wind up saving, depending on the type of vehicle that we get, because we tend to travel together, my office does. So we need a larger vehicle. So depending on the fuel that needs to be reimbursed, we save between $150 and $80 per travel situation.
Like I say, I haven't seen those statistics, and the little ones that I've tried to run don't come out as $80 differences. And I'm looking at in Murray or Paducah from the north end of the county. Now, if Bob goes from the south end of the county to Murray, it's a whole lot different than me and Wendy and Anita going that live in the north end of the county going. The set of scenarios are so different for each and every one of us that I don't think it's foolish or a waste of taxpayers' money. Like I say, I think it's a wash. I think the time whoever computes that spends at their salaries and the package we're paying them more than makes up for the difference in there and gets that number even closer to zero.
I drive a Prius.
Right.
We took
I'm just in favor of the government rates, what I'm saying.
I don't think the actual calculations, with the technology that is available today, the calculations aren't that hard. You can get the calculations in no time. I don't think when you say that there's a burden on the employee to figure out the calculations, which is best cost effective to the county, that's not an issue.
I don't think we're voting on that. That's just my opinion, and just wanted to get that out before the second reading, and I don't know if I should do that now, but I would, as I did before, this is the proper time in June, move that we do so. I don't know if now's the time to do it or before the second reading.
Oh, you mean move to amend?
Right, to put the federal government rate back in there as an option, as a reasonable substitution.
Yeah, I mean, you could, I mean, it's the
I didn't know
first
if now's the
reading.
time to do it or next meeting, but that's,
Next meeting would be the time when you actually vote on it anyway, so more than likely then, and if you want to, get with us and propose some language, that might be.
I did
time-sensitive.
before we
Yeah,
did it
okay,
once, but
that's
the
right.
language hasn't changed, but
Then we still have
this
that.
is the appropriate time to do that, but I'll do that again, and.
Okay.
So being cost effective is the objective, correct?
Correct.
Well, then why don't we use the state rate?
Well, the federal government
If we're
rate is, I
traveling-
think the federal government rate is fair.
Well, no one's
That's just-
arguing
That's just my.
the
that's
state
just
rate.
my- That's
Is the
my,
s- is the state rate not fair?
recommendation.
You mean state rate?
Won't we use the rate that the state uses?
The state mileage rate is different than the federal rate.
I mean, if we want to be cost effective
That's
for the
that's
taxpayers.
just, I just gave my opinion. I wanted four. That's just my opinion. That was my recommendation, to go with federal rate.
I mean, the court can choose whatever the rate is.
AOC's rate's 40 cents. That's another state rate.
I mean, there's several different rates out there.
Right. But
Well, we'll-
it's just in our administrative code, and as long as I've been an elected official, we've gone, whether it's city or in this county, up until the last couple of months, it has been the federal rate, and that's, like I say, I just think that's fair, and
Well, we'll put something together. Maybe traveling in the state, we use the state rate. If you're traveling out of the state, we use the federal rate.
well, like I say, we've got a document here. That's just my suggestion to amend that, not necessarily look at other rates.
We'll take a look
Everybody
at it.
can do what they want to
Prepare
there, but
something. We'll move on to intra-fund transfer. Yeah, I did. I skipped that. We'll do the ordinance 2017-06 budget amendment, first reading.
An ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof, whereas the County of Marshall has received additional funds. Now be ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County that Section 1, the annual budget for fiscal year 16-17 is amended to increased revenues accounts for insurance proceeds from the road fund, $123,000, wireless 911 fees, $34,440 for a total increased revenue of $157,440. Increased expenditure accounts are road department construction, $123,000, 911 salaries, $11,155, 911 phone services, $3,500, 911 maintenance and communication software, $12,345, 911 wireless salaries, $2,500, 911 retirement match, $2,500, 911 health insurance, $2,400, for a total increased expenditure of $157,440. Section 2, the amounts added to this, to the revenue and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes.
Emily, is the wireless 911 fees, is that just what they give us, or is that an increase in what they thought they were going to give us?
It's the increase due to the legislation change.
Okay, so what I asked Misty the other day, or that I was aware of, that since the new collection formula for these wireless fees and the method they're using now, and the prorated from January, the returns they got in the end of January is all they've got the figures, but what it computes is almost double the amount of revenue that they thought it would, that they thought that fund was received. We're bringing in more than they anticipated. Is that where that's coming from?
I don't know what they anticipated, but I don't believe
Well, they
it's
anticipated
not.
between $3.5 and $4 million is what they anticipated, but based on prorated January, or maybe January and February figures, this came from CAECO, and it's almost double that, because they've got a new method of tracking and so forth, which is probably apparently more effective, to the tune of $4 million more effective, or double, and which is a good thing. But I just didn't know if that's what that was. As a result of that, that additional monies was a result of that we didn't know that we were going to get?
It is a result of increased dollars from our original budget. Prior to this amendment, we stood at wireless fees of $150,064. This will add that $34,000 to that amount, so it'll put us at $184 and some change. Next year's forecasted budget is $212,000. Next year's fiscal year 18's budget amount is set at $212,000 now, that came from that document. So it is increased, but it's nowhere near double.
Oh, and we shouldn't budget double. I mean,
Yeah.
because you get in trouble double. We've learned that with alcohol, but the alcohol monies. But yeah, I just didn't know if that was the extra. I just was aware of that,
Yeah.
made aware by CAECO of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Move on to intra-fund transfer.
Did we approve that?
It's just the first reading.
Oh, okay.
I'm asking permission to move from occupational tax administrator to Veterans Band Fund, $500 for our contribution to the Veterans Band Fund that was budgeted.
Motion to approve transfer.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approve payment of the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
I got a legal question. Because of the time frame and rescheduling, I haven't signed any of the bills or reviewed the bills. Can I not vote to approve the bills till I review the bills, or?
Well, you can approve them without, it's the practice has been,
Subject to,
yeah,
I
you
guess
can
when
approve,
we,
subject to your
well, when we
signature.
approve the minutes, the next meeting, if have any questions or stuff, that's when you do that?
Yeah,
I
well,
guess
if you-
the legality of that.
Once you make your subject, you prove the subject to any exceptions you may have on bills that you do not sign. If you don't sign one, that comes back up next time.
Okay, but when we approve the minutes, okay, we just, different
If you don't
structure
find
this
any,
morning,
then
we,
nothing happens, right.
they just weren't available till 8 o'clock, and we started another meeting at 8, so, okay.
Is there a Motion.
Motion to approve the bills. Do we have to add anything to that?
With the exception, well, approved unless there's, one of you all find a bill that you have a question or want to challenge and you do not sign it, that will roll over till the next meeting.
Is that your motion, Bob?
My motion.
I thought you did a good job of that.
Or we can sit here till Doc gets them signed.
Are you?
Either one. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We need to go into executive session for.
I've got one housekeeping matter I've been asked to address. In our meeting with the city the other day, I made a statement that.
Which city? I'm sorry.
City of Benton. I made a statement that the correspondence I'd received threatened to file suit, and there was exception taken to that. I went back and read all the correspondence. The letter I referred to didn't say that they would take legal action. It said they would go public with it. My response to that was that anything that you have a question about should go public, and the way to enforce that, in order to enforce it, that would be by legal measures. So actually, the mention of a lawsuit was my response, as I thought would have been the natural progression of things if you can't agree on the terms of an agreement. But the city did not threaten a lawsuit specifically in their letter, and I apologize for my misstating that.
Apology accepted.
We need to go into executive session over personnel.
Move to go in executive session, Judge, for
Second.
personnel issue.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We will, in regards to the personnel, we'll wait for council to draft the agreement, and we'll move forward on that issue. Under new business, the only thing else we got is to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.